Once upon a time, in a very small village, lived a poor beggar who sat on the lonely path that led to the village stream. He was blind and popularly known as Arer, the village beggar. Whenever the villagers walked past him, they dropped some money in his bowl. Everyone knew Arer, and the people were very generous to him. Some even made it a duty to provide food for him, and Arer was so grateful to them for their generosity. However, no one knew where Arer had come from, or if he was a native of their village. All they knew was that he was a blind beggar who sat close to the village stream. One evening, a girl named Samto was returning home from the stream when she came across Arer lying by the corner of the bush, asleep. She looked into his money bowl and saw some money. Samto snuck quietly toward Arer and stole his money bowl, ensuring not to make a sound. As she was about to leave with the money, Arer disappeared before her eyes, filling her with terror. She stood there frozen and began to plead with Arer to return and take his money, but he never returned. Confused about what to do, Samto threw the money to the ground and ran home like someone being chased by a ghost. She locked herself in her room and wondered who Arer was and what he would do to her for stealing from him. Just as she sat on her bed, lost in her thoughts, her legs began to itch. Samto rubbed them for a few minutes and noticed that the itching was getting worse. She applied some ointment which relieved the itch. A few hours later, Samto went to bed, still thinking about Arer and the trouble she might have gotten herself into. Later that night, she woke up to realize that her legs had transformed into those of a goat. Samto screamed at the top of her voice, waking her father, who came into her room and was confronted by the horrific sight. He stared blankly at his daughter's goat legs in shock. "How did this happen?" Samto's father, Mazi Chukwuka, asked. Although terrified, Samto told him a completely different story. She claimed that Arer begged her for money that evening on her way back from the stream, and, when she refused, he became agitated and began to curse her. Before she knew what was happening, he disappeared, leaving her frightened. She ran home and went to bed, only to wake up to find her legs had transformed into those of a goat. Mazi Chukwuka flared up in anger and decided to confront Arer the next morning. When he arrived at the spot where Arer usually sat to beg, he found no one there. He waited patiently for hours, hoping Arer would show up, but he never did. This didn't look good, and Mazi Chukwuka returned home to find his daughter Samto in great pain. Her cries pierced through his heart as he rushed her to the hut of his friend Uku, the village healer. Uku had never seen anything like it and tried all he could to heal her legs, but he failed. He advised Mazi Chukwuka to take his daughter to another powerful healer who lived near the village mountains. They arrived at the healer's hut, but she too was unable to heal Samto's legs. Mazi Chukwuka took his daughter to many healers, but none could transform her goat legs. By this time, the news had spread around the village, and people were terrified to learn that Arer the beggar was responsible for the calamity. They began to troop in numbers to catch a glimpse of Samto's legs, as no one had ever seen a human with animal legs before. Weeks turned into months, and Samto was now bedridden because her legs were too painful to walk on. Seeing that none of the healers could help, her father decided to visit a popular seer in the village to see if she could locate Arer. The seer revealed that Arer was no ordinary beggar. She said he had come to their village on a mission and was angered by Somto, who tried to steal from him. Mazi Chukwuka was shocked to hear this, realizing his daughter had lied to him. The seer told him that if nothing was done soon, Somto's entire body would transform into that of a goat. Terrified, Mazi Chukwuka asked what he could do. The seer said that Somto had to successfully complete Arer's mission in the village to gain his forgiveness and be free. When asked what the mission was, the seer said it was up to Somto to find out. Mazi Chukwuka returned home and confronted Somto about her lies, threatening to disown her if she refused to tell the truth. Knowing how strict her father could be, Somto confessed. She narrated how she had tried to steal from Arer and how he disappeared before her eyes. Mazi Chukwuka was devastated. He had always provided for her, so why did she feel the need to steal? This wasn't the first time. A few years ago, a woman had come to their home claiming Somto stole items from her market stall. Instead of reprimanding her, Somto's mother dismissed the woman, defending her daughter. This negligence encouraged Somto's behavior and led to their current predicament. Realizing the severity of the situation, Somto decided to return to the place where it all began, where Arer used to sit. She resolved to wait there, hoping to understand his mission. She sat patiently for hours, enduring gossip and mockery from the villagers who pointed at her goat legs in pity. Though heartbroken, she returned the next day, undeterred by their comments. Two village girls approached and mocked her, bleating like goats as they laughed. This broke Somto, and she cried bitterly. Despite all this, Somto returned again the following day. Later, it began to rain heavily, and she sought shelter in a small hut by the stream. To her surprise, she met an old woman living there. The hut had always seemed abandoned. The woman was sick, so Somto cleaned up the hut and cooked for her. The old woman was grateful. The next morning, Somto returned to her usual spot and saw a sad little boy heading to the stream. Concerned, she asked if he was okay. The boy burst into tears and told her about his wicked stepmother, who blamed him for his father's death and treated him cruelly. His own mother had abandoned him at birth. Somto was heartbroken. She comforted the boy, gave him food, and promised to help him. That evening, she couldn't stop thinking about him and decided to search for his mother. The next day, the boy gave her a bracelet his mother had left with him. That evening, when she got home, a powerful woman was there, brought by her father in hopes of breaking the curse. Upon seeing the bracelet, the woman froze in shock. "Where did you get this?" she asked. Somto explained it came from a boy in the village. The woman insisted on meeting him. She revealed that the boy was her son. Years ago, before she became a priestess, her family took her baby and sent him far away, fearing she wouldn't accept her calling otherwise. They placed a powerful spell to hide his location, and despite her powers, she couldn't find him. She had placed that very bracelet on his wrist at birth. Somto took the woman to the boy's hut. They arrived to hear the stepmother beating him. Furious, the priestess stormed in and turned the wicked woman into a goat. Instantly, Somto's goat legs returned to normal. The curse was broken. Somto now realized that Arer's mission had been to save the boy. What she hadn't known was that Arer was the spirit of the boy's late father, who had been watching over him, hoping to find someone to help his son. Now free from the curse, Somto watched as the priestess embraced her son. For the first time, her heart swelled with joy. The priestess thanked Somto and left the village happily with her son. Somto returned home, grateful that the boy's suffering was over and that she had helped bring about a joyful reunion. She had also learned her lesson, never to steal again. From that day forward, she changed and became a better version of herself. Moral of the story: every action has consequences. Never take what belongs to others, as the repercussions may be severe and unexpected. Failing to address bad behavior can lead to greater issues, so it is important to guide and correct those we care about. Honesty and integrity are virtues that must always be upheld. We must learn to be truthful and take responsibility for our actions, as deceit can lead to even greater suffering.